The Catholic Church speaks.
I'm Archbishop Martin Kivuva Musonde, the Archbishop of Mombasa, and the outgoing chair of the Conference of Catholic Bishops of Kenya, who are this present team for the last 3 years. Last night, we had, as our rule calls us, every 3 years, there's a new elections that take place. And I'd like to introduce the incoming team, especially at the helm. So we have our vice chair, who is the outgoing chair of social communication and communication in the conference, none other but you know him, Anthony Muheria, Archbishop Anthony Muheria, the Archbishop of Nyeri, and now he becomes the vice chair of our conference. Tumpigie makofi tu. It's a great. The conference also decided to have a new chair, who is none other but Most Reverend Maurice Muhatia Makumba, who is the Archbishop of Kisumu Archdiocese. So from this team, they now take us on to share what we have been talking about, thinking about, praying about. And we also want to take the chance to thank you all, Kenyans. Thank you, media, and all those who have been following us and supporting the Kenyan face, wherever we find ourselves. So without much ado, I invite them to the chair to kick off this first statement of a press statement, speaking to Kenyans, speaking to all those who see us or watch us or are part of us. Karibu sana, Askofu Mkuu.
Thank you very much, all of you. We shall be making our press statement. The title of our press statement is Cry of the Oppressed. And we begin with a quotation from the prophet Zechariah. It says, "This is what the Lord Almighty says. Administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the foreigner or the poor. Do not plot evil against each other." End of quotation. We, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, gathered at Roussel House, Karen, Nairobi, for our Bishops' Plenary Assembly, greet you and wish you the blessings of Easter, a time of hope and of God's victory over evil. We thank God for many blessings we have received since the beginning of the year, especially for the rains that we are now experiencing. We appreciate the government efforts on many fronts, like reforestation, campaign for care of the environment and climate change, and also for the stabilization of the Kenya shilling in the recent weeks. As we review the state of our society and our nation, we wish to share the following concerns. The first one, the gradual intent to undermine the role of the Church as a stakeholder in society. Our African society has always been rooted and anchored in a deep respect and reverence of God. This is enshrined in our Constitution and expressed in our national anthem. Our common belief in God leads us to respect life and uphold the dignity of each and every person. The role of the Church is to safeguard and to nurture the morals and values in society that this relationship with God entails. The Catholic Church, from the time our first missionaries arrived in Kenya, has all along continued to be truly committed in human welfare initiatives in education, in health, and the uplifting of the dignity of the human person, irrespective of his or her social status or tribe. We have continued to complement government efforts in a spirit of collaboration and partnership. Unfortunately, we as the Catholic Church are noticing changing dynamics of the relationship between ourselves and the government. We are concerned about the deliberate intent to reduce and undermine the role of the Catholic Church, and indeed all faiths, as safeguards of morality in society. We especially decry this subversion in the fields of education and health. Number two, the dilution of the sponsor's role in education and in our schools. The proposed education bill, Basic Education Bill 2024, seeks yet again to dilute and reduce the role of the church in schools and other educational institutions. In fact, it is a breach of the original arrangement between the church and the state on how church-founded educational institutions were to be managed. Our history is very clear that many of these institutions were established by our missionaries who worked tirelessly and with great sacrifice as to set them up and nurture them for many years. Moreover, the main contribution was not only academic education, but a true formation of morals and humanity. This has given our country great leaders and forged the moral fabric of our Kenyan society. From independence, there has been a gradual attempt to wrestle the management and role of churches in the schools. The proposed new bill now further threatens this crucial role of the churches in our education system. We therefore decry and reject the systematic scheme to undermine and weaken our management role as the founders of the Catholic-sponsored schools. As a major stakeholder in the provision of education, we as a church have a right to actively engage in the overall management and supervision of all our private and Catholic-sponsored schools. Most of these were born out of the initiative of the Catholic Church. In the same vein, the proposed Universities Bill, Amendment 2024, grants the Cabinet Minister unilateral power of dissolution and merger, conversion, or amalgamation of private universities without reference to the owners. Refer Article 38. It is surprising that instead of focusing on improving the situation in public universities, where the situation is dire, the government wishes to control and interfere with our faith-based universities. While we wish to follow the standards set by the Ministry of Education, we wish that there always be full consultation with all stakeholders in matters that affect our universities.
Number three,
unreasonable demands for work permits for missionaries. We owe a lot to the missionaries who have served us in this country. Their love and sacrifice for Kenyans and for this country deserves great respect and recognition. Indeed, they have been proudly Kenyan, contributing generously in all ways, and even many are buried in our soil. Today, many, with great sacrifices, continue offering great services of charity and social work. We are surprised by the exorbitant increase in the work permit charges paid for missionaries from Kenya shillings 15,000 to Kenya shillings 150,000. This is absolutely unethical and shows lack of gratitude to people dedicating their lives to the good of society. We are, as a country, in fact, should be showing gratitude and appreciation through giving waivers to priests, religious men and women, and other social missionary volunteers who come to complement our social engagement. We request that their work permit be zero rated. Number 4, long outstanding debts of NHIF. The Catholic Church owns and manages hundreds of hospitals and dispensaries in the country. This we do in response to a God-given mandate to support human dignity no matter the circumstances. In partnership with the government, we have complemented government efforts to make health services reach the most needy. We have on various occasions raised to the government the very unjust fact that the faith-based hospitals are owed huge amounts by NHIF. As of now, this has accrued to over 2 billion Kenya shillings. The effect is that most of our hospitals are crippled and not able to operate optimally, and therefore offer services to the needy. In fact, many are now unable to procure medicines and pay salaries. We are now in the process of shifting to the new Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF. Our inquiries on whether our debts will be honored have been met with mere promises and no legal guarantee. This is not only unfair, but totally unjust. We demand from the government to promptly clear the NHIF debts owed to all facilities that have provided medical services under the NHIF scheme before the transition to the new Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF. Number 5, doctor strike. We recognize that at certain times, people must seek justice and equity. However, time and again, we have urged the medical fraternity that their profession is not like others, as it touches on human life most closely. While we believe there may be merit-worthy demands, we have always urged the doctors and the medical practitioners to place life and interests of the patients first. We still do the same. The life of a human person should never be used as a bargaining currency. Every life is worth more than any financial or employment gain. We urge the government on one hand, and doctors and clinical officers on the other, to seek a working arrangement that does not put the lives of the patients at risk, so that lives are not lost or threatened even during the industrial action. We ask the government to speedily address the legitimate concerns of the doctors. Our health provision is in the hands of the medical fraternity. We ask both parties to seek dialogue and settle the matter once and for all. We believe a mutual position can be reached quickly to end this unnecessary bleeding. The situation is deplorable, and we continue witnessing the misery of the sick. Many have died, and many are deteriorating in their sicknesses because of the current standoff. This is worsened by the inability of the faith-based hospitals to fully respond to the crisis, as they have been crippled by the NHIF debt. In the final result, the person who pays dearly with their lives is a poor Kenyan.
Number 6, high cost of living and overtaxation. On several occasions, we have addressed the issue of the cost of living and overtaxation. The reality of ordinary Kenyans is that they are struggling financially, which has often led them to mental distress. The last 3 years have seen a very sharp rise in the cost of living. At the same time, food produce has fetched an all-time low price in the market. While Kenyans are doing everything possible to adapt to the high cost of living, the church stands with those who cannot afford to get food on the table, to take children to school, and to pay medical bills. Unemployment also is at its height. Moreover, we continue to be heavily taxed by corruption in our services systems. The issue of overtaxation should therefore be understood within this context. What must we do to support the suffering Kenyans? It must be our aim as a nation to make the ordinary Kenyans at least meet their basic needs. We have urged and continue to encourage the government to improve public participation in assessing its tax regime. That includes listening to the voice of the churches and other faiths who have been clear on what path may be most beneficial at this time. We ask that the use of the collected taxes be clear and the benefits for the welfare evident. This applies both to national government and to the county governments. We should not intend to raise billions in a short span at the cost of great stress to ordinary Kenyans. We can develop slowly but with dignity. Number 7, encouragement to Kenyans on their resilience. As we conclude, we, the Catholic bishops, as your shepherds, are very proud of you, our fellow Kenyans. the resilience of Kenyans to withstand adversaries ranging from the cost of living, weather conditions, sicknesses, has always stood out. This hope and positive attitude largely comes from our faith in God. As the psalmist says, this poor man called, and the Lord heard him. The church will always walk with you. On the other hand, the government has the duty and responsibility, even as a godly and noble thing, to mitigate these adversaries and facilitate the improvement of the welfare of the citizens. They should also fulfill the promises they made to the people. This is the reason that the church stands as a sentinel for the morality of the society, the upholding of human dignity, and the defense of the very poor. We, as bishops, therefore express our great dissatisfaction of the situation of injustice these situations bring upon us. As we celebrate this Easter season, the risen Christ gives us a new hope and impetus to overcome evil and bring light to this world, so as to build up a true civilization of love. We invite and encourage all Kenyans to pray intensely for our country, our leaders, and for all citizens. Happy Easter.
This message, this press release, has been signed by me, Archbishop Maurice Muhaji Makumba, Chairman of the Conference and Archbishop of Kisumu. It has been signed by Archbishop Anthony Muheria, Vice Chairman, Archbishop of Nyeri. It has been signed by Archbishop Martin Kivuva of Mombasa, Archbishop Philip Anyolo of Nairobi, Bishop Joseph Mairura Okemwa of Kisii, Bishop Alfred Rotich of Kericho, Bishop Norman Kingo Wambua of Machakos, Bishop Peter Kiara of Marsabit, Bishop David Kamau Nganga, Auxiliary Bishop of Nairobi, Bishop Anthony Reri Mukopo of Isiolo, Bishop Salesius Mugambi of Meru, Bishop James Maria Wainaina of Muranga, Bishop Paul Kariuki Njiru of Wote, Bishop Dominic Kimengich of Eldoret, Bishop John Obala Owa of Ngong, Bishop Joseph Mbatia of Nyaururu, Bishop Joseph Obanyi Sagwe of Kakamega, Bishop Joseph Mongela of Kitui, Bishop Michael Odiwa of Homa Bay, Bishop Willie Badlago of Malindi, Bishop Mark Kadima of Bungoma, Bishop George Muthaka of Garissa, Bishop John Binda of Lodwar, Bishop Hieronymus Amusugut Joya of Maralal, Bishop Henry Juma Odonya of Kitale, Bishop Cleophas Oseso of Nakuru, Bishop Simon Peter Kamamoe, Auxiliary of Nairobi, Bishop Wallace Nganga, Auxiliary of Nairobi, and Monsignor John Juve, Apostolic Administrator of the Military Ordinariate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our chair of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops. We'll take 3 questions from the media. Kindly raise your hand and we'll take relevant to the statement kindly. You take the first one. Go ahead. Hand up.
Thank you.
First question, second question, third question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate.
Let's just give the lady here because she seems, and this is the last thought. Yes, please. So to your first question, we'll have a translation that is not ready now, but you have a translation hopefully within a day. So kindly bear with us on that one, and maybe just one. Usual only. I think I'll let the chair just give a general answer to both of you, and with that we conclude. Kindly.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. What the Conference of Catholic Bishops is saying, we are appealing to the government and the doctors and all the agencies involved to come to a common table and find a solution to this matter because it is hurting the country. Many people are suffering in hospitals. We understand the plight of the medical practitioners, but we also understand the situation the government is in. I think where people sit at the table, around the table, and talk about things, there is always going to be a solution. As to your question, what are we going to do if the government doesn't do anything about what you have said? We shall continue engaging the government because where men and women of the same family are talking, always there will always be a solution, and we remain hopeful that something is going to be done about these very pertinent and serious issues we have mentioned. Thank you.